All right, hello everyone who is starting to join. Hello, Nash Potatoes. Hello, Kevin. Thank you all for joining today on this Sunday afternoon, Memorial Day weekend, if you are here in the United States. If you're in Canada, I have no idea if it's a holiday weekend. So, Mr. DiMaggio, Hampus, hello. I see you guys every time, I think, so that's pretty awesome. All right, so today we are going to do a what's in my bag. How are your feet doing? That's kind of a weird question, Cam. Like what do you mean? Like because of the new skates? Because then that question would make a whole lot more sense. Otherwise, it's just a little creepy, Cam. So if it's about the skates are doing great. The CCM Tacks. So okay, good. I'm a little less freaked out now, Cam. Okay, so I guess we can start with those. So anyway, okay, so first, let me give a little preface about what we're doing here, and then we'll get to the skates. So today we are doing a what's in my bag. So you guys have been asking for a what's in my bag for a very long time. I don't think I've done one in probably like 8 months or so, something like that. I don't even know when the last one was. Because really, you guys like ask so many questions about the pads anyway. I don't really have to do a what's in my bag. So let's see. The last what's in my bag was, oh my gosh, it was a long time ago. I'm already back in November. Live unboxing of the nutshells, which are awesome. I talked about those last time. I can talk about them again this time. And geez, we got to go way back. Maybe the last like what's in my bag was like middle of last year, so maybe even been pretty close to a year ago. See all my gear and ask questions live. That's kind of like a what's in my bag. So that was like July of last year. So yeah. Anyway, but obviously I got a whole lot more gear now. Hey, Michael. Michael is awesome. Talked about him last time. He helped me get those suspenders that you guys see back there on those pants, the CCM Premier pants. But anyway. So we're going to do a what's in my bag. You guys are more than welcome to ask any questions about any of my gear, whether it's new gear, really old gear. I don't care. Whatever works. And we'll get started. So I think the first question we really had, well, the first question was how are my feet doing? But the real question is, okay, so Mr. DiMaggio said, when I tried CCM skates, they hurt my feet immediately. And then he switched to S170 skates. So those CCM Tacks up there, that's probably been the most surprising piece of equipment that I have from the new stuff. And the reason why is really twofold. So the first one, and you guys saw this in my last video when I did the unboxing, I was really worried about feet pain. And I tend to get a lot of feet pain when I get new skates. And especially like if I don't put in my yellow super feet, and because those have special insoles with the D30 foam, I wasn't sure how that was going to be. But because I remember when I'm pretty sure it was when I got those 6000s. You can't even see them back there, but I'm pointing to them. It's behind my chesty, the Paso. But when I got those, I remember like there were times during my first skate that I had to kneel down or just go in the butterfly and get off my skates because they felt like my feet were broken sitting in them. And then I switched out to super feet, and then, trying a different, tying method and stuff like that. It ends up breaking up pretty well, and then eventually you're fine, right? And so my biggest worry when switching to those CCM Tacks was that I was going to have an extreme amount of foot pain again. And fortunately, it is awesome. I have had zero foot pain whatsoever. My feet have not gone numb in them. There's been no pain, and those are a size less than what I'm used to. So the Reactor 6000s back there, I believe they're size 9s. And I went with size 8 for the CCM Tacks because that's technically what I should be in because I wear a 9.5 shoe. I think it's 9.5. I'm pretty sure. But nonetheless, zero foot pain whatsoever. And that's with just basically putting them on, trying to tie them relatively similarly to the Reactor 6000s. The first time I did get in the skates, because technically I was on the skates for like 20 to 30 minutes before at a drop-in on a Sunday, and I was terrible because the local hockey store that I will not name, but everyone knows what it is, they sharpened my skates, and it was like you guys remember when I was talking about like the worst skate sharpening in the world, but it was only on one side? But this time I had the worst skate sharpening ever, and it was both skates. And so I actually felt like I was a little worried about my health, like being able to push off. Every time I would push off, it would just slip out from under me. And at that point, I was just like, I'm just going to get off the ice. It doesn't really matter. There's no other goalie here. So, it would be one thing if there was like another goalie down there. And so if they had two goalies, like it's a little weird if there's just one. But I was the only goalie that showed up to that drop in. And so I really didn't care if I left early. So I did that, and then I went back to the local hockey store and just had them both recut at a 3/8 regular, and it's been fantastic ever since. So I love those CCM Tacks skates. Suntan, the worst chest protector I've ever had. Ever is a difficult question there. And I'm trying to think of all of them that I've had. So going back a really long time, really long time, I had the Vaughn. I'm pretty sure it was a 5500 chest protector or something close to it. And then after that, I switched to a brown, and I can't remember the exact one, if it was like 2200 or 2100 or what it was. And this is like 15 years ago, so the numbers could have been a little bit different back then. The Vaughn was great, but I used to get shots like up here all the time. It would just go off the top of my shoulders, and it was terrible. But still, that was like 20 years ago, so I can't really blame it for that. Like, chest protectors are completely different now. And then the Brown Pro was incredible. And then I ended up switching to the old Reebok Bumblebee, and that was a great one. And then I had another Bumblebee, and then I had the all-black Bumblebee knockoff. And then I did have a Simmons for a very short amount of time. And then I sold it to a buddy because it was just like massive on me. And then I had another Reebok Bumblebee. And then I had the Paso. And then I've had the Premier, the 2016 Premier, and the 2017 Premier. Now, the one that I didn't mention out of those, and what I'd probably say was the worst one I've worn in recent memory, was the Bauer Reactor. I think it was the 9000, if I remember correctly. Let me look it up really quick. Bauer 9000 Reactor. Yeah, no, that wasn't it. Maybe it was the 6000. I don't know. I can't remember. It was one of the reactors for the Bauers. And the problem was, immediately the first shot that I got hurt, and it only hit me in the arm, so it shouldn't have hurt. So why it hurt, I have no idea. But that one was terrible. I think I wore it 2 times, and I just immediately sold it. So, okay, let's see what else we got here. Worst hockey injury. I got to think about that one. I mean, I've broken my feet. I've broken one foot twice playing hockey. That was playing out though, so when you're playing defense or forward or something, you're still blocking shots all the time out there. And when I play out, I'm blocking 10 to 15 shots in ice time. Just, it's hard to get out of that goalie mentality. So I ended up breaking my foot a couple times. I'd probably say that the worst hockey injury I've had pain-wise would be when I got hit in the trachea, and this was in high school. One of my guys tees up a slapper from the hash marks, and it gets underneath my mask and hits me right in the trachea. Oh my God, that was the worst pain I have ever had in my life. Imagine heartburn, but all over your neck, and it just radiates. And so immediately I thought my neck was broken, but it ended up working out well. I guess not really well, but I ended up getting better. So eventually I'm probably gonna have to get a drink here, because I'm still a little bit sick, so you can probably hear it in my nose. Okay, so, alright. In fact, let me grab a drink really quick, and then we'll get to it. You can see I'm all red, too. I don't know what that's about. Alright, fortunately I got a little fridge down here. Alright, now see if I can sit up in my seat a little bit. You guys can see me a little bit better. Of course, then you can't see the pads as well, right? Maybe you guys just want to see the pads, and I should just sit like this the entire time. All right, so let me go way back. And see what other questions we've had. It's not a holiday in Canada. Okay. Um, just got the Bauer 1X skates. That's awesome. You'll have to tell me how they are. I'm excited about hearing more about those. Kane Van Gate, KVG. He and I have talked quite a bit about those 1X skates. And in fact, he was very nice and said that he would even let me borrow them if I want. I'm a little apprehensive about borrowing things because like my skates, especially right now, they tend to be very sporadic, and so like somebody will call me up and be like, "Hey, do you want to play tonight?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, I need the ice time or I need the video time." So then I play. My new season does start on next Sunday, so then you're gonna start seeing more videos coming on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays and stuff like that. And whenever I get additional ice times, I think I'm also possibly playing in a league on Fridays, but I'm not sure. I've seen texts go around, and honestly, I haven't gotten back to them yet. I really don't want to play Fridays. The Friday league isn't as good as the Sunday league, but the Sunday league, you know, you'll see some pretty good players, especially because it is the BHL. So, and in the summer, all the pros and college guys and junior guys come back, and the league gets pretty competitive. So it's pretty cool. So you guys will enjoy that. I do still have the 1S glove. You can see it way up there. I still have not used it. I'm probably just going to sell it, to be honest. And the main reason why is it doesn't match any of my gear. I couldn't take the red logos off, so it's just it doesn't really fit my style. So, but I wish it did, and I almost had my hands on an Odin set, but in my opinion, the guy wanted a little bit too much money. He's a nice guy. He was willing to work with me a bit, but ultimately the condition that the pads were in and the fact that I've had conversations with a couple pro buddies who use the Odins, and they say that they only last like 3 to 4 months with a lot of ice time, and these had already been used in juniors, and so I can't even imagine like how well used the set was going to be. And for a grand or $1,100, you know, I expect a set to last a little longer than that. So okay, so let's see what else. Does it hurt when you get shots to the arm in the new chesty? No, not at all. Haven't had one even stinger yet. In fact, thinking about it, I haven't even had one shot that, you know, you like really feel it. You feel the huge boom. You can get that with the Paso, and a buddy of mine also had the same thing happen the other day. It doesn't hurt, but you feel all the force of it when it hits. I haven't even had that happen with the Premier yet, but that's probably because I've only used it, like 2 times, and neither of the times that I was playing were there like great players out there. So there were good players, but none of them were like great or with particularly heavy shots. So but so far, the Premier Chesty is beautiful. And as far as like breaking it in, I think that's probably one of the biggest questions I get about how to break in a chest protector. Honestly, you just have to use it. There is no quick method. One way that I've tried in the past is to wash it in the clothes dryer, and it like kind of worked, but there was also a little bit of and I talked about this in the past too. On the old Premier chest protectors, on the shoulder floater, there's like these little carbon pieces, and so near the bottom of one of those carbon pieces, you could see it started going through the leather. So, and that was after like one wash. So I would not recommend washing your chest protector. Just wear it and use it. So that's about it. You feel stiff as hell out there, but nonetheless, that's like the best thing to do. Okay. My favorite CCM Reebok stick you've used? To be honest, it would probably be... that's actually kind of a hard question because I've used them for a long time. I don't know why I'm grabbing this one, because that one's broken. I have another one right here. That'd probably be this stick right here. The CCM 500 Pro. So these were custom-made 500s. Foam core, wood shaft. These are so light, and the paddle is so thin, and I really like this. You can see here that that blade that I really like, and to be honest, I've kind of fell out of love with my custom pattern. My custom pattern, and I can show you that here too. Here's a good one. Let me make sure. Yeah, so you can see it's like really flat, like crazy flat. And then if I compare it to one of my old sticks, you'll see there's quite a bit of difference. So I'm going to try to get it there. So you can see quite a bit difference, and the old stick is not as flat. So if I can not hit my ceiling and show you guys just like how flat it is. There's like no good way of showing you guys this. Sorry. So you can see like it's a little flat, but there's still a little bit of roundness to it. And then if you look at this stick right here, which has not been taped up yet, if I can get that up there, it is really flat. There's still a little bit of roundness, but it's crazy flat. So I used to really like that. But I've actually noticed in recent skates that some weird things have been happening with it. So I don't know if it's just like the way that I'm moving or whether it's because I'm a little bit stiff from using new gear. But I'd probably say all time my favorite are those CCM 500 sticks, because those things are fantastic. What is a good custom mask painter that you recommend? I mean, there's very few that I wouldn't recommend. And really it's all about price point. So there's some really good ones out there that are really inexpensive, who do really good work, that I would definitely recommend. So like Sun God, there is River Rat. Both of those are very affordable and do great jobs. If you want something that is way more expensive and also really intricate, you're probably looking at why can't I even think of his name at the moment? I gotta look it up. Terrible. I feel like my memory has been going away from me today, so I don't know what's up with that. Like I was, if I can find it here, I was driving to Catalyst earlier for my workout, and then at one point I started thinking about something else. I can't remember what it was. And then out of nowhere, like I had no idea where I was anymore. And so it took me a second to realize where I was and that I was still driving the right way. Paint Zoo. So Franny Drummond, who is a fantastic painter. I would definitely recommend him too. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. No, Mr. DiMaggio, you can't just tape the Bauer logo and play with it like that, Like it still looks ugly. So, and a big part of goaltending to me is the aesthetic of it and the looks. That was the whole reason I became a goalie in the first place, was for the cool pads. So then to not have something that matches just kind of drives me nuts. Do I own only CCM and Infinity sticks? No, I also have Paso sticks. There's no blue ones. There's only red ones, and they're like way back there. But I also have Paso ones that are fantastic too. They aren't my curves, so you don't see that as often. But I have thought about bringing those out recently because they have more of a mid curve that I want to try out again. What teams do I play on? So this coming summer, I'll be playing on a team called Bar Louie. So Bar Louie is a bar and grill place that's here local to St. Louis. So I'm playing on that with a bunch of buddies. In fact, I don't even know who all is on the team. And I have no idea if we're going to be competitive or not. I remember I played on this team, I don't think it was last year. I don't think they had a team last year, but the year before that I played on this team as a defenseman. And my buddy Tim, who you guys have seen in quite a few videos, Timmy, he played goalie, and we were not very competitive. It's a pretty good league, even in the summer. So, yeah, Matt, you'll sell me mine. Yeah, of course you will. Matt Zenzola, by the way, he's a professional goalie. So if you have real goalie questions, ask him. Okay, what else we got here? How much for the glove? Well, I'm looking for 300 for the glove. Usually I don't talk too publicly about what I want for them, but I've been saying about 300 for the glove. So, okay. So, Jake, I live in the United States. I live in Missouri. So, I bet there's quite a few St. Louis people here, which is kind of funny. Like every time I go to the rink or go to Catalyst, I'm like finding people who know me. So it's a little weird, but it's also kind of fun. So, have I experimented with pad skins? I have some, and I haven't experimented with it. To be honest, I am as far away from an artist as you can possibly get, and so like even like cutting straight is a problem for me for whatever reason, and so I have pad skins, and I'm just not confident in my abilities to put it on right. So I have it, and then it's just like it's sat here. I think I don't even know where it is. I know it's around here somewhere. It might be in the back room. I think it's red. It's either red or gold. I can't remember. Okay. What else we got here? So, I think everyone... Wait, hold on. Would I recommend the past model of the Bauer 96 or 961? Yes, absolutely. That's an easy one. So, I mean, I've had what? I think you guys have seen like 6 different 961s that I've had. My favorite one, of course, is the one. There we go, up there, which is a Pro Mold Bobrovsky, which is pretty cool. But I have another 961 on the other side that I can't show you because there's something on it right now that I don't want to show you guys just yet. So, but there's something funny on it. You can kind of see a little bit of it over there. But I love the 961. I can't really compare the CCM pads to the Warrior pads. I have not used the new Warrior pads. You guys saw a picture of some of the senior type that I was planning on using, and then that ended up, let's just say it didn't work out. So I had the set, and there's not a good way to describe that, but I had the set, and I used it a few times, and they weren't pro. And for me to do a review, as you guys know, like I need 15 to 20 skates to do a good review, and I didn't have that amount of time afforded to me, so I couldn't do a review in the amount of time that people wanted. So pins or Preds? So that is an awesome question, and a very timely question, of course. You have to pick the Penguins, right? I mean, the Predators are good. There's no doubt about that. And Rene is an incredible goalie this season, and especially in these playoffs. And the Preds have really good defense. But did you see the way that the Penguins manhandled the Senators in that last series? The only thing keeping the Senators in that series was Anderson. And so even though, I mean, in one way it would be nice for the Predators to win because it would be somebody new who wins. But in another way, I don't see how the Predators win that series. They might win, 1 or 2 games, but the Penguins they were dominating the Senators for the majority of that series. And the only thing keeping them in there was Anderson. So can Rene pull an Anderson? Absolutely, he can. Can he continue to do it for a full series against the Penguins? I don't know. I mean, the Penguins have a lot of firepower. Now, as far as like the secondary question there that I also saw is like Murray or Fleury. So you have to figure Murray's going to play pretty much the entire series, unless something happens, whether he gets injured again or if he just does badly for a game or something like that. I could see how you might see Flower in there for like a game for a period or two. I don't foresee that happening though. You didn't really see it last year, and then I think we've probably seen Marc-Andre Fleury's last game in a Penguins uniform, because Fleury played so well in these playoffs that really helped his trade value. They'll find a good taker for him. So I've been trying to think of like what teams might want him. I don't know if Mike Smith is planning on coming back or not next season, but I could definitely see Fleury going to Phoenix. I could definitely see him going to Las Vegas, who's going to need a starting goalie. And then there was another one too that I had thought of. Maybe like Philadelphia, but he obviously wouldn't be traded to Philadelphia, but they could be, basically a three-way trade where he ends up getting traded to somewhere else, and then like San Jose's done this in the past, gets traded to San Jose, and then San Jose turns around and sends them to Philly. So I could definitely see that happening because right now Philly has no goalies for next season. How will I be selling the glove? I don't know. Just like contact me, and we can talk about it. So, have I tried Brian's pads? Yes. So I tried those Sub-Zero 6.0s for Total Goalie a while back. So you guys saw that demo. That was fun. And then there were I also tried my buddy's genetic 2s and I think 3s. I remember I tried 2 different sets of genetics from him. And they were really stiff, but they were really nice pads. So hockey pros, like, so um, technically the Penguins have to protect Marc-Andre Fleury because he has a no trade clause, if I remember correctly. So they have to be able to protect him, but that doesn't mean that they can't trade him. And I believe he's even said that he's open to a trade. So he doesn't want to be the backup next season either. He wants to play full time. So he'll make sure that he gets traded somewhere. I don't think I'm going to be able to try the Bauer Vapors, but I really don't know. I hope I can. They look well. Okay, so let me put it this way. So I think the biggest criticism of the Vapors has been that design that's on them. And there are some colorways that are growing on me. So like the blue ones look really nice, and the black ones look really nice. Anything out of that doesn't look that great. Like the red ones, I don't think they look that good, and then the white ones, I think the white ones are just kind of boring. Um, but there might be some pretty cool colorways for that. So it's growing on me a little bit. I do not like Carolina's goalie situation at all. Darling, it's not like he's a bad goalie, but he's not a great goalie. And Lack was not great last season. Ward's getting up there. I'm surprised he's even still around. But I mean, Carolina's bigger problem, of course, is defense. I mean, really, it's just forward and defense, and then the goalie just kind of makes up the difference. And there's way too much of a difference for a goalie to make up in Carolina, so I don't foresee them making the playoffs next season. Speed Skin is incredible. For those of you guys who are asking about Speed Skin and the eFlex 3s, Speed Skin is incredible. So it is so fast. You guys can see in those game videos, and when I'm just kind of like trying to make some movements, you can see it takes minimal effort for me to get across the crease. I've actually had to become like a little slower at times. I've had to kind of gauge how quickly I'm going to be sliding across. So you just have to be careful of that whenever you get your eFlex 3s, that when you push, you're going to go on forever. So you just have to be a little careful about that. But there's a reason that a lot of the top goalies in the NHL are wearing CCMs, and the goalies that, all 3 Vezina candidates wear CCMs, and then in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you have Murray wearing Vaughns, of course, but you have Fleury, who's in CCMs, who played great. You have Rene in CCMs, right? You had Anderson in Bryans. You had Talbot in CCMs. You had Gibson in CCMs. I mean, a lot of these top goalies or top performing goalies are all wearing CCMs. So the fact that all of them are wearing it tells you something. I did like my Bauer 6000 skates, and in fact, I'm going to keep them as my backup skates. I have no plans to get VH skates. So I know, like, everyone's asking about VH skates. I have no plans to get them. Like, and it's not that I wouldn't want to get them, but they're just too expensive for me. Like, I already have 3 jobs, and I have to afford all that equipment back there. So it's just a little too expensive for me. Would I recommend the Paso for rec hockey? Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that. And let's see. Aiden, that's not entirely true. So you can be on a rookie contract. What it is if you have been a pro for only 2 years, then you don't have to protect those. But Murray, I believe he was playing the AHL before. Let me look. Matt Murray. Let's see if I can find his stats really quick. I believe this is his third professional season. So he started professional really when he was 19, but for sure when he was 20, so 2014. So he's been playing, pro for 3 seasons. So or 3 or 4. So they will have to protect Murray. All right. So I know there was another question here. Oh yeah, Aiden. No, not Aiden. It was somebody else with an A. Maybe. I don't know. Somebody asked me what pants I'm wearing. So the pants that are right there, those are the brand new 2017 version of the CCM Premiers. They are fantastic pants so far. So I do want to talk about those, even though like pants aren't really the sexiest piece of equipment, right? So there's not really a whole lot to them. But those pants back there are so light. There's no great way of like showing you how light they are either, but maybe I can kind of maybe show you. So first I have to take my knee guards out of it. So, like I said, there's no great way of showing you guys like the difference in weight, but these pants are just, I mean, insanely light. They remind me a lot of when I tried on the Bauer Odin pants, or some, I don't know if that's exactly what they're called, but when I was doing the Odin demo, I had some really light Bauer pants, and they feel very similar to that. And so these are crazy light. These, you know, in comparison, are so heavy, and I never noticed that they were that heavy before having these. So I'm not entirely even sure why they're so light, other than I know that they've taken out maybe some of the harder material that used to be back here that's really unnecessary. There was some harder material that used to be in the tailbone. It's not really there anymore either. But outside of that, I can kind of show you guys the inside. So there's the inside. Here's the inner belt, which I do use. And then here's the clips that clip on the chest protector. So what you do is you have your pants on, of course, you put your chest protector on, and then you can actually clip it in. So there's little portions on here. I can show you that. So right here, there's a little loop. So it just comes up and then goes down. You clip it together, you pull it up, and you are secure in there. So you don't even really need the suspenders, but I still use them. All right. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, your demos aren't coming through? I'll trade you my 1S gear for your E-Flex 3s for a couple weeks. Yeah, I'd be okay with that, Matt. So Matt, like I said, he's a pro goalie. He's an awesome guy. He and I talk regularly, and so yeah, Matt, if you wanna try out the E-Flex 3s, I'd be happy to do that. And of course, you're like 6'3" or 6'4", right? So, but I think you wear, what is it, medium pads in the Odin, so I think that'll still work out. So that'd be fun. Do I think changing the arms on a chesty is a good idea? Why not? I mean, as long as it fits in there. So one of the things with the Paso that's down there, those actually lace in, so you can lace them in, lace them out, whatever you want to do. The Premier, it Velcros in, so there's like a little loop. So I've actually had to really tighten that because the arms for the Premier are really long compared to the old chest protectors or the old Premiers that I had, the 2016 version. And then also they seem maybe a little bit, maybe pretty similar to the old Bumblebee and the those remakes. So just kind of be aware that if you have like shorter arms, you might need to maybe hem it up a little bit or affix it a little more up. Whatever works. Tiffany, I live in Missouri in St. Louis. I think I just ate some dust. Delicious. All right. So the old Reebok pants that are down there, those are larges. And then the Premiers up there, those are also larges. Last year when I had the 2016 version, I had the XLs. And they were just like, first of all, they were too big. And then second of all, I lost a bunch of weight. And so then they were like really too big. So I ended up selling those. Oh, good. They're large. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, Matt, you and I can do that for sure. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Christian. That was you. Yeah, I remember you said you were late and you were asking about pants. Would I recommend to buy the 2016 Premier Pro Chesty if you can't afford the 2017 model? Yes, for sure. That was still a really good chesty, and the reason why I got rid of the 2016, to be honest, I wasn't using it enough. Like, I had used it enough to get the review. So I think I had used it like 18 times before the review, and then I did the review, and I used it for a little bit longer after that. But I still was getting the deltoid shots, those outside shots. I think if I had used it a little bit longer, maybe worked on it a little bit, then that probably would have been perfectly fine, and I wouldn't have got those outside shots. But nonetheless, that did still happen. And so, I have the Paso down there, so I was like, and that, and the guy who I sold the Premier set to, he also wanted the pants and a chest protector, so I gave him a good deal and sold him the whole thing. So it worked out for both of us. Chris, no, you didn't miss anything. We've been around for 36 minutes just telling jokes. I don't know. So your 1-year-old Bauer chest protector, the arms are too short, but I can't replace them and the body fits fine. Well, I mean, you can always replace the arms, right? Because, I mean, even if they're sewn in, you can still, what I would do is take it to a cobbler or a shoe, not a shoe salesman, a shoe, I don't know, maker, I guess that's what they'd be called, and or repairman, shoe repairman, and then have him sew it in, and that should work fine. And then he can also like measure you at the same time, make sure it fits appropriately. The Premier pads do run a full size taller. They do not sit lower on the boot, and the reason why is because the boot never does soften. So Andrew, I don't know if that's good news or bad news for you, but that boot does not soften up on the Premier pads. Those things are so stiff. So they sit really high on the skate, which I like naturally, but the problem is I had gotten them my regular sizing, and then they were like an inch too tall, and they were an inch too tall in the knee. So like there was no great way around it. So I would definitely recommend, if you're looking at the Premier line, basically minus an inch on the knee. So for example, back then I wore 35 plus 2s, so then I'd wear a 34 plus 2. But on my newest my newest E-Flex 3s, I went ahead and got 35 plus 1. I have had a lot of questions, and I see one here on YouTube about like, what is better, a plus 1 or a plus 2? There isn't really any better for both of those things. So here's kind of how it came about. So when I was a kid and growing up, pretty much every pad was like just a straight like 35 inches, right? I think probably a lot of us grew up with just that. Like you just get 34-inch pads or 35-inch pads or 36-inch pads. And then there was the introduction of the thigh rise, right? So there was the plus 1. And so then that probably would have been like maybe 15 years ago, maybe just 10 or 12 years ago, everyone was getting plus 1 on everything, right? So then we were going with 34 plus 1 or 35 plus 1. And then, we got a little crazy with it. We started going plus 2 or plus 3. And so you had some goalies, and really it started before that, because you had guys like Roman Turek. You can like see some of those pictures with Roman Turek with what seemed like a plus 8 on his pads, right? But as far as like getting them custom or retail, usually you stick to plus 1, plus 2, or maybe plus 3 if you have like 33 inch for your base measurement for your knee, and then you might plus 3. So that's what I did with my old P4s. They were 33 plus 3, and those didn't really work out, so for whatever reason. But I would recommend probably a plus 1 nowadays, because pads are actually getting kind of smaller, more maneuverable. Unless you have some reason to go plus 2, I would just go plus 1. I've been really happy with going 35 plus 1 on this last set. There's been a couple times where a shot has come in, and I sit there thinking, oh great, that one's going to go in because I don't have the high thigh rise anymore, and it still hits the thigh rise and goes off. So I've been very happy with it. I think so far I've let in one 5-hole goal. One true 5-hole goal. So like it was like a breakaway, and then he shot 5-hole, and for whatever reason I missed it. And that is very rare for me. You guys have seen that. Otherwise, I think there's been like one other 5-hole goal, and that was on that breakaway where I made the initial save, and then I kind of did like a split sort of thing, and it still ended up going 5 holes somehow. You guys saw that in the last video. All right, Mr. DiMaggio, clearly they should pick Mrazek. Howard is not a good goalie anymore. Are your E-Flex 3s the best pads you have had? Yes, absolutely. The speed skin is just incredible. Like, and I don't want to like hound you guys about the speed skin because I really don't talk a lot about like the technologies and stuff, but that is definitely a technology I believe in. That and the D30 foam are two incredible pieces of innovative technology for CCM, and that is the reason why you see so many great goalies and great performing goalies in CCM gear now. Okay, so Chris is asking a question that I get very often. So where do I mount my GoPro or camera for your game? So why don't I just kind of go through my camera setup really quick, and I'll do like another video about this in the future. And I've done one in the past, but it was like maybe like 4 years ago, so the technology is a little bit different. So I wonder if I can even just kind of like show you. I don't think there's anything kind of weird on my desk outside of I have a lot of philosophy books and a lot of like philosophy notes, but I'll just kind of bring stuff up. So first of all, I have, let me put this over here. So I have my GoPro. So okay, so for any of you out there who are looking to get GoPro stuff, here's what I'd recommend doing. Get a case for it. So I have this one, I believe it's like the Amazon version, and so I have my GoPro right here. I have an extra case here in case my other one breaks. Then I have 1, 2, 3 batteries, and then I have my GoPro tool. There's a little fixture, and then for my GoPro, my suction mount, I usually put it in there like that or like this. Either way works for me. And then I just leave it like that, and then before games I take this out and I put it up. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll just kind of run you through everything. So the other thing too that I'd recommend, and this is, by the way, is the Hero 4, and it's the silver. I think it's the silver. Or is it the black? Actually, I think it's the black. So there's two things you're going to want to do if you are going to try to run a GoPro for your game. So most of your games are probably like an hour and a half, right? Or hour, 15 minutes, something like that. So the GoPro itself is only going to last you maybe about 45 minutes at 4K. So you have to have the extra battery pack on there. So have the extra battery pack, and then you're going to need the extra case, which comes with the battery pack, fortunately. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, especially if you're recording at 4K, and I'll get to your question here in a second. So this is the card that you should use, and let me see if I can get it like close enough to where it, like I want it to be like, okay, it's not focusing for you guys, but this is the SanDisk Extreme 64 gigabyte card, and for those of you who are interested in getting one, maybe if I like get out of the way, then it'll like, I don't know, focus for you guys. Maybe not. I don't know, but it is XC1, which is a kind of like transferal rate. So I definitely recommend this one because all of your games are going to end up like 48 gigabytes or something like that. It's a crazy amount. So so you have to get at least a 64 because that'll give you like a full game, maybe a game and a half if you end up subbing afterwards or something like that. So the first thing I do, of course, and your card actually goes in upside down. So put in the card. So it's in there. I don't put anything else in there. Put the little door on. Perfect. And the next thing, put it inside the case. Close that. Okay, got all that. Now before a game, while I'm sitting there waiting for things to happen, when I'm already half dressed, let me put this in. This part's always kind of difficult. There we go. Got that. Put this in. I do use the GoPro tool. You can use a screwdriver if you want, but here's the GoPro tool. It just makes it a little bit tighter. And then the angle you're going for, and this can depend on like what kind of rink you're at. You know, are the boards like further behind, or are they further, you know, are they closer to you? So most of the time, if I put it like this, you know, it'll be pretty good. Because ultimately what I'm trying to do is, and you can see this in all my videos, right? Like you see it at the beginning and the end of all videos. you see me reach up pretty much as high as I can go with one hand. And how you do it on here is you actually press this first, and then you press this down. Okay? And that makes the suction. So you see me reach all the way up that I can, and then that down, and it suctions up there. And typically it stays. You guys have seen like 2 times when it hasn't stayed. But that's how I put it up there. So there's no real like trick to it or anything like that. But that's how it works. Okay. What on earth do we have going on in the chat? Griffins and Crunch. I'm assuming those are the 2 in the HL that are at the end. I really don't have a clue. Yeah, so I'm really jealous about you guys being able to go to Tendy Fest, and I know KVG was at Tendy Fest, so I'm sure that was fun. I mean, ultimately I live in St. Louis, so for me to get to British Columbia, unless you're getting paid to go, is pretty much impossible. So, and I was not paid to go, so I did not get to go. But I'm sure it was an awesome experience. I saw the pictures so far. I saw the picture from Bauer earlier where they had like 30 sets strewn about. It was pretty awesome. So I'm really jealous of you guys who got to go. Yeah, cool. And KVG is a nice guy, isn't he? He and I live, I don't know, like 20 minutes away. We grew up together. We both went to high school at the same time. In fact, I actually have something with his name on it. And I actually asked him if I could post it up, and he said it was fine. But it might take me a second to look for it. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Okay, so I think it's in this binder here. So when I was growing up, my mom especially, like, she kept records of like all my games and stuff. And so you can see here, I think this one actually might have been it. They're the 1983. Yep. So here we go. So you guys know who Mike McKenna is, right? So I got this letter April 15th. 2000, about the 1983, that's the birth year. Central District tryout participants. I did not make the team, but look who did. So you see the goaltender there, Mike McKenna, and then over there for the first alternate, you see KVG. So those 2 buggers got picked and I didn't, but you can see we all grew up together at the same time. So. And I don't know if there were any other, I don't see any other pro names on here. But there were some pretty good guys who were playing there at the time. So, it's pretty cool. I don't think there's anything else like that outstanding here. I do have a couple, so here's a set of pads I don't talk about very often. But I had them for a very short time. So, this was an article in the newspaper. And you can see I have bottom pads. So there's the bottom leg pads. Those were 34s. Here's my T5500 glove. And you can't really see it, but underneath there is the Bauer Reactor 6000. Or no, sorry. That's a modern number. The Bauer Reactor 6 blocker, the one with the funny shape. And then that Coho was, I believe, probably the 570 or 590 stick. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if there's anything else really that interesting in here. Lots of events. Roller hockey stats, tournament stats, sub games, ice hockey. So yeah, anyway. Alright, cool. So you were lucky enough to get taught goalie school with Kevin Weeks in '96. That's pretty cool. Do I think I'm better than KVG? No. No, I think KVG is a better goalie than I am, for sure. Especially, he's skinnier, way skinnier. And he also plays in the BHL regularly, and I just sub. Now, granted, mostly I sub. I used to play in the BHL more often, but it's like 40 minutes away from me, so I tend to not play as often. But he plays regularly and he wins regularly, so he's a better goalie than I am. Hyper tried the vapors and didn't like them. So why didn't you like them? I'm interested to hear why. Because when I tried the Odins, I loved the Odins for that total goalie demo. They were an incredible set of pads. I wish I had the Odins to try or use or have, whatever. 1S or E-Flex 3s. I mean, I'm going to choose the E-Flex 3s because I have them and I love them, and also because more of the better goalies in the NHL also have the E-Flex 3s. That's just the reality of it. Yeah, I've heard of the Goalie Crease. I think they have like goaliecrease.com or something, right? And I have .net. KVG's on the ice right now. Very nice. He's probably being funny out there. He's a funny guy. So, then he's really nice. And he's also an instructor for Bruce Racine, who I used to instruct with a long time ago. I have had zero durability issues with the E-Flex 3s. Now, granted, I've only used them, like 5, 6, maybe a little longer, maybe like 10 times, but no durability issues so far. And then no stingers to the glove whatsoever. And you saw, like, especially at the beginning when I was using the glove, you saw a lot of pop-outs because it hits me in the palm. So I finally figured out what the problem was. And honestly, the problem was that I didn't have the glove tight enough on my hand. And so in that last skate, you saw that I caught quite a few more. That's because basically I'd shove my hand in and then try to get it as tight as I can without restricting my movement, and it's worked out really well. So you end up seeing that I made that a really nice glove save at one point, right? And so I was kind of excited about that one. So okay, so Hyper, when he tried the vapors, he said knee blocks were too small, and I think it had the small straps. It was too tight, but I loved the sliding, and they were so light. So that's kind of similar to some of my thoughts about the Odins, because I thought that the knee block that it was a little bit small, especially for my oversized knee guards, and then I also felt like some of the straps were too small. So you don't you can kind of see this on the demo video when they go behind me. I had actually removed some of the smart straps because I have really big calves, and I have no idea how like people and like pros who have calves bigger than I do. I don't know how they can fit their legs in the Odins or the Vapors, but they're pretty tight on me. So so I actually removed those, and then after that the strapping was fine. Okay. I talked about the skates a little bit earlier, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but they were fantastic. Comfort is beautiful. They're crazy awesome as far as like reaction goes, because I am wearing a size lighter, and so so I've had nothing but great things happen with the Tacks so far. Well, I mean outside of my local retailer not sharpening them correctly the first time. Chris, I don't know what you're talking about. What's the website? So we used to have a forum that was at goaliecrease.net, right? And now it just forwards over to the YouTube channel, because the forum is now on Facebook. So if you do want to join the Facebook group, just search Facebook for Goalie Crease Network Group, and then I will approve you all to get in. Okay. What other questions do we have? Let's see if I've missed any. Have I ever hit a guy hit my GoPro and break it? Nope. I've had a guy hit my GoPro and break the, I think it's, it must be in the drawer. But I had one break off this the other day. So that last time it got hit, it actually broke this straight off. So, it's not in there. I have my bag of goodies. Here's my bag of extra GoPro stuff. Yeah, so here's my other suction cup mount, and it still works perfectly fine. Here's my old GoPro. keep it as a backup. And then for those of you who are interested to see where it all started, I actually have. So the first goalie mask cams that were on YouTube were from me using this right here, which is a little spy cam. It was $20 on eBay, and it came with a little mini thing. I mean, the quality of this was just hilariously bad. So I had this little Velcro that was on the back, and I had Velcro on top of my mask, and I just Velcroed it on. And so those were some of the first videos that you guys saw. I don't think any of them are up there anymore. I think I've deleted them all because they were such bad quality. But that's how it started. And I don't think there's anything else really that interesting in here. No, not really. Alright, let's see what else we got here. I got a True goalie stick. Awesome. How do you like that, East Coast? I have not tried True yet. I know that True bought VH, so I'm assuming that they're a pretty good company. But who knows? And Hyper, I would love to go to Tindy Fest next year. There's no doubt about it. But, I mean, it's in British Columbia. So that is a long way for me. And I do not get paid to go to Tindy Fest. If I did get paid to go to Tindy Fest, I totally would. But I don't. And so that's a very expensive trip. I went to Spokane earlier this year for a philosophy conference. I gave a talk there, and that was like $800 just to go to Spokane. So it is very expensive for me to travel up there. I will try the Howl Pro toe straps. In fact, I'm going to try the new ones. I can't remember what they're called, but they're not called the Howls. But there's new ones, and I'm going to get to try those. So I'm really excited about those. I didn't really get to watch the World Cup that often, Sphinx. What I did see, it was exciting hockey. I love the Olympic rink. There's just like so much more room out there for people to play. So I wish the NHL would go to Olympic rinks. I really could care less about whether people are hitting each other out there. Like at this point, I want to see some great stick handling, and I want to see some awesome shots. This whole sticking people in the gut and just like randomly hitting people or hitting people like 5 seconds after they get rid of the puck, it's not interesting to me. I understand that like it's successful for these teams to do that, but it's not entertaining. And at the end of the day, pro hockey is nothing but entertainment. So yeah. All right, Chris, have a good one. Who do I think will win the cup? I already said this earlier, but I think the Penguins are going to win. It's not necessarily that I want them to win, but that's who I think is going to win. Okay, so let me see here. No, I do not want to buy your genetic twos. I thought there was another question here. Is it an easy transition from stiff pads like the Sub-Zero line, which really they aren't that stiff? I mean, the genetic line is far stiffer than Sub-Zeros, to the E-Flex 3s. I don't think you would have any problem whatsoever going from the Sub-Zeros to the E-Flex 3s. I've tried Sub-Zeros, and I've tried the E-Flex 3s. Obviously, you wouldn't have any problem. Do you use toe clips? I don't know what you mean by that. Like Monster Howl things or the actual toe clips. So I tried the toe clips a long time ago, and they were terrible. Like they kept like falling off or breaking mid-game. So I don't use those. But I am very interested to use the Howls. Favorite goalie in AHL? I don't really have one. I've kind of talked about this in the past. There's goalies who I watch, but I don't really have a favorite. So I do like Matt Murray. I do like Pekka Rinne. I watch a lot of Cam Talbot. If you really pressed me and said who was my favorite goalie, I'd probably say Cam Talbot. But that's probably, I mean, it's so close between all these goalies that I watch. All right, Mr. DiMaggio, I'm assuming that's a basketball reference. I do not watch basketball. That is way too boring. I played when I was a kid, but I can't watch it. It's terrible. Is there any old gear that you'd be willing to sell? I mean, possibly like my old pants here, pretty soon. The ones that are down there, the old 20Ks, but that's really about it. I'm not planning on selling the Paso anytime soon. And I have not tried the CCM Flex Shield either. You know Cam Talbot? That's pretty awesome. And then one of our other fans, his uncle is Trevor Kidd, so that's pretty cool. He was sending me pictures. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you that. He was sending me pictures of Trevor Kidd's jerseys that was at his house. It's pretty cool. I don't really have an opinion about backup goalies, so I don't really care about Mike Condon. Not that he's like a terrible goalie, but he's a backup goalie. So like, there's not really a huge difference between backup goalies, you know. All right. Trying to see if there's any more questions that I may have missed a while ago. Let's see. I don't really see anything. So, have I ever played as a player? So, yes. And in fact, there's a video up of me playing as a player relatively recently. So when I play out, I typically play defense, but I really like to play forward because I like to score goals. So I typically know what the goalies are going to do, so I use that to my advantage. Okay, so I like the dangler, honestly, so I could really care less whether I go to a combo or not. I would try it, for sure, but I don't really have any will to spend a bunch of money and try it, you know, just because the dangler works perfectly for me. So, cool. All right, are there any more questions about gear or anything? One quick note, I'm probably getting rid of the sumo bag pretty soon, just because my buddy who sold it to me is willing to buy it back. And so it's a great bag, but I was already kind of thinking about, like, what do I want in a next bag, so we'll have to see what happens and whether I switch bags or not. What is the range of cost for a custom mask? So I don't know if you're asking about a custom mask or a custom paint job. So which one are you asking about, Ben? I'll wait for you there. Will I get the eFlex 3 stick? I don't know. Maybe. I don't have a clue. Like, I already have so many sticks, obviously. Like, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 blue sticks. And then red ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 red ones over there. So I have a lot of sticks. And so I don't really need another one at this point. Okay, so Ben, you were asking about paint jobs. So the range that I've typically seen is between 300 and 2,000. So you'll find some like lower end guys who are maybe around like 300 or 400 or 450 or 500. So that tends to be like one range for your lower end guys. And then if it's like a really complex job, you'll see between like 500 and 1,000 typically, or 500 and 800, something like that. And then if you want guys like Franny Drummond with Paint Zoo, you might be paying up to like 2,000 plus. Or Dave Art, you might be looking at 5,000, you know, for your paint job. So it just depends on how famous is the painter and how complex is the paint job that you're asking for. And I've been playing goalie. So this is like a kind of a funny question, because like in my mind, I think I've been playing goalie since I was like 13, but I may have even been like pretty close to like 14. I'm pretty sure I was 13, in which case I've been playing goalie for 20 years now. Do I remember Patrick? I don't know what you're talking about. Like Patrick Waugh or Patrick Lalime? Which Patrick are you talking about? Which pads would I recommend? The V6s or the Reactor 6000s? I would never recommend the Reactor 6000s, and the reason is I've had so many of my friends try those pads and they didn't like them. I do have one friend who does like it, so I will say that, but none of the rest of them like those 6000s, and especially the glove. The glove was notoriously bad, so I would not recommend getting the Bauer Reactor 6000s. I would recommend the V6s over those. And then Tanner, am I going to stay with CCM? So I don't really like stay with pads. Like I just use them, and then like if I get more, I use those too. So it really doesn't matter to me who the pads are. I really don't care. I care much more about how they perform in game, and then I go from there. So you guys have seen me use Bauer in the past. I had those NXGs. You guys have seen me use Passo in the past. trying to think. I think there may have been some other ones that I've used in the past, but yeah, like it doesn't really matter to me. But I love my CCMs, so you'll see those a lot. Oh yeah, yeah, Mr. DiMaggio. Yeah, I remember that guy now. What I'm assuming is like when I do these live things, it like sends out an alert on, and even like some like non-goalies, and so you see some like non-goalies show up, and especially if they're like gamers. You know, gamers can be a little moody, and so I'm a gamer, and when I game, I am a total troll. So it is like if you guys knew what my real humor was, like I'm trying to be like really nice, and because that's what the Goalie Crease Network is about, like being welcoming and nice and helpful. And gaming is just like completely the other way, where it's like I will troll somebody for 4 hours. Like there's some games where like you build your own base and you go out and you like kill people and stuff like that. And so I will just keep coming back to their base for 4 hours and blast music in their ears. It's hilarious, and I have no problem doing that. So so Rage just switched to or from player skates to goalie skates. To my did you have any problems, or Tommy, did you have any problem? I don't because it hurts so bad. Okay, so one thing you might consider then is taking them to a hockey shop and getting the skates bumped out a little bit wherever they hurt. The other recommendation I would make is get some yellow feet. So any like shoe store or hockey shop or something like that should have some yellow feet, and those are fantastic. So I've used those in the past, and those are over in my 6000s. They are great insoles that really help with comfort. All right. So just really quickly, since Killer is actually asking me like, what is in my goalie bag now? Well, right now there's nothing in my goalie bag other than a water bottle and my extra stuff. But the stuff that you will typically see in my goalie bag right now would be the eFlex 3 glove and blocker. You would see the 961 Bauer Bobrovsky mold. I've been using that one more often. You have also seen the Kiever mask that's back there, the one that's Russian made. But I want to get a white cage on it before I use it again, because it's a little dark for me with the chrome cage. And then you will see the Premier pants, the suspenders that you see on there right now. Thank you, Michael, once again. He sent me 3 pairs of those, and that's from Sidelines Sports in Canada. So if you're in the United States, good luck getting some, because they only ship to Canada apparently, which is annoying. But they're basically rip-offs of the Eastons. So I've been using those, and then you see the Premier chest protector. As far as knee pads go, I still use the Coho 589 Pro Swiss knee guards, which are great. And then I use a Reebok Pro Jock with the nutshells, custom, or I guess not really custom, but it's an awesome cup. So it's pretty cool. Can you try to say my name? I mean, your name is Rage Master, so yeah, I can say it. Do CCM have the smart strap system like Brian's do? So no, but it actually is a little bit similar. So I can even show you guys really quick if I get my foot out of the cord. So here is the calf, and so if I open this up a little bit, you can see that the main strap is affixed to this outer gusset part, and then you can see that this calf part in here actually goes through the back of the calf wrap. So if I open that up, you have this internal calf wrap, but between them has a very similar strap to the smart straps, right? Because in the past you didn't really have this. You had one single strap, and it was on the inside. So it's a little bit different of a setup than the past, but it works out really great. I really like the way it sets up so far. All right. I like both the Paso and the Premier Chesty. I like them both at the same time. Yes, you should use knee straps. And it doesn't really matter whether it's Velcro or straps or what. Like, You have the Bryans that are Velcro. You have the CCM or the Vons that are typically straps. So it really doesn't matter. I don't really have a favorite brand. I mean, you see me use CCM a lot, but I'm actually pretty relatively brand agnostic. And Mr. DiMaggio, I'm actually a PC gamer, so I do have a PlayStation 4, but I don't play it very often. My kids play it a ton. They play a ton of games on there, but and I have Battlefield and Call of Duty games for PS4, but it's up in my living room, so I don't get to play that as often. So I have my little PC gaming setup here with multiple screens and whatnot. So I usually play a game called DayZ or DayZ Mod. So yeah. All right, guys, we have been talking for like an hour and 11 minutes, so I'm going to get going. Hopefully every one of you has a wonderful rest of your weekend. And if you are in the United States, I hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. So thanks again, as always, for coming and for coming to the live stream, asking questions, whatever. If you guys do have any other questions whatsoever, make sure that you post them below, and I get back to all of the comments that you guys leave, or at least the vast majority of them, right? So anyway, if you guys have anything else, just post them on there, and otherwise, good luck. I'll see you out on the ice.